Hello and welcome. We are on the verge of becoming a space whale in Star Citizen, and today we want to have a look into our account and also in our ship fleet and what we need to do in order to have all ships equipped with LTI. We are participating in the project since June 24. That means 1.5 years meanwhile. And as you can see, we have store credits, 10 cents. And we are now member of the Concierge. Yeah, today we became member of the Chairman's Club. And interestingly is, we became member of the Chairman's Club today, but we are already on 50% to the next level. So if we would grind on this Chairman's Club thing, this would be a perfect example of not FOMO, but somewhat of continue doing what you're doing, right? So we want to have a look. When we click on Concierge, we come into the Concierge Chairman's Club. Yeah, Concierge is basically the old name and Chairman's Club is the new one, or the other way around, no idea. So we are your current Chairman's Club level High Admiral since today. And what do we got? We got this monocular and a bottle of whiskey or something. Yeah, Radagast, nice. And we got this Arclight pistol. Doesn't do anything different, it's just, it looks different, that's it. And we can download, and this is basically a joke. But yeah, some people are collectors. But what we want to have a look into is this one, right? The exclusive store when you are a member of the Chairman's Club. And what do we see? We see the brand new ships available right now as special offers or so-called Warbonds. And what we see is, we see basically the same ships to the same prices, but with an additional paint. For the Shiv, can you see that? When we scroll a little bit, that was too much. The Stinger for the same price, but with an additional paint. And the Paladin, the same. The ship for the same price, plus an additional paint. And of course, you have all these paint packs you can pledge for. And what we noticed is, with the cheapest one at least, we haven't figured out what happens with the more expensive one. If we go for a paint pack, pledge 780, that is 20% off. What happens if we melt this pack? Do we get 9 back? Do we get 7 back? Or even less? And we can tell you, in this particular case, you will get 7 back. That means that is a loss of 70, 80 cents. All right, so, but this is not the point what we are looking into it. The thing is, when we have a look into our ship fleet, my hangar, that is the reason why we are now in the Chairman's Club. We pledged 2 times the Shiv, the standalone normal Shiv, and that catapulted us into the Chairman's Club's thing. But now, here you see all the other items that we have pledged. Some of them we keep, some of them we gift to crew members. Yeah, NOMAN's crew, or better say, NOMAN's crap, is the organization we participate in. We need to have a game package in order to be able to play Star Citizen. We could pledge more to get into the next level, and then we do not need a game package anymore because we spent already so much money like a space whale does. We still need a game package in order to be able or allowed to play Star Citizen, even in early access. But when we continue spending more money, pledging more money into this project, then we will be on the next level on the Concierge. And then we do not need a game package anymore because we spend so much money that we are officially qualified as a space whale. We started with the useless CO Mustang and upgraded it to the Intrepid from Crusader, which is also a useless ship. But back in the day, when we pledged for the Intrepid, that was at the end of 2024, we thought it will have more use than the Mustang. It wasn't the case. And this ship has 3 months insurance. So if you have a game package, leave it alone. If you do not need to upgrade for whatever reason, do not upgrade your game package. Leave it as it is. We looked into the insurance stuff, and CitizenCon 2024 last year, they talked about insurance and warranty. And the alarm bell rang as we heard that. And so we were thinking about, we need to exchange our fleet so that all ships have LTI or 10 years minimum. Because 10 years for an online service is basically lifetime. And 10 years from now on, we will be something like 50 years old. And we have no idea if we still play Star Citizen in 10 years from now. Interest may change. Standalone ships. What standalone ships we have? Yeah, we have these two sheaves now. So we already did a mistake a couple of times. We have two sheaves. The sheaves has lifetime. And when we exchange, we will get 135 store credit. That is 10 IRL less than we spent for that particular package. Twice, so we spent 300 today. Then what we have is also two wolves, and all four have LTI. Then we have the 325A, which we pledged in December 24, yeah, that has 10 years. And we could say 10 years is okay for an online service. And here we have the Asgard. And we got to say, the Asgard is our daily, the Asgard is our working horse, and we really love anvil ships. And then we also have the Pulse, 10 years. That was before Alpha 4.0. We thought we are so into Star Citizen that we want to have some sort of a proper ship other than the Mustang. Yeah, so we had then 3 ships, so to speak. The Mustang converted to an Intrepid, plus the 325A, plus Pulse. 3 ships. But then we figured everything changed with Alpha 4.0. It's way easier to make money in-game than it was back in Alpha 3. And so we could buy ships in-game way faster than we had been able before. But up until then, up until December, we had no idea what our gameplay is. But that changed with Alpha 4.0. And that's why we upgraded later on to an Asgard. And the problem here is the 325 has 10 years, and upgrading from this ship to whatever ship, the warranty, the insurance will remain. You only exchange the ship. And now we came along the idea that we want to exchange all our fleet with LTI tokens. So that would mean that we need to get rid of this Asgard here. That will give us 350 store credit. When we look into the RSI pledge store, where all the ships are listed, and we go on Anvil, we see the Liberator. We didn't know that we see that, but the Liberator is listed as 575 ship value, not the money that we would spend when we would pledge for that. Here we see the Asgard. The Asgard has a ship value of 350. So, but what we can say is, when we see the Asgard listed with 350, that if we would pledge again for the Asgard, we would spend something around 350 IRL. But the Warbond is over, that is gone, and we pledged probably the Asgard during that time window when it was a Warbond, and we have no idea if the Asgard came with 10 years standalone, or if it now has 10 years because of the upgrade of the 325A. When we look at the Paladin, and we would pledge the Paladin standalone, it has the same ship value, 350, like the Asgard. And when we would pledge it standalone right now, it would come with 10 years. So it might be that we upgraded the 325A with 10 years to a Asgard 10 years. And when we would pledge for the standalone ships, the Paladin, we only get 10 years. And we would have 2 ships with 10 years insurance. What we need to do in order to get LTI on the Asgard? First of all, we would need to melt or exchange this pledge that would give us 350 store credit. And from that store credit, we can use one of our 4 LTI tokens and upgrade it from there. We can have a check on how it would look like on the Paladin. So now we have the wolf. 2 wolves, 2 sheaves. We have 2 options, a cheaper one and a more expensive one. The cheaper one would be Warbond edition, 10 months. That is the package that is available. But because we upgrade an LTI to the Warbond, we would spend 243 additionally in order to exchange one wolf to the Paladin, but at the end we would have a Paladin with LTI. But we are here to find out what we need to do in order to get the Asgard ship upgrade, and we want to upgrade to Asgard. And now we have the problem. The Asgard is not listed. If we want to upgrade from an LTI token we already have to the Asgard, we cannot do that right now because the Asgard is not available to pledge. And we assume that at IAE, which is in front of the door, coming up soon in November, next month, there will be an Anvil Day. At least it was last year. And during that Anvil Day, all Anvil ships will be available to either pledge for it or upgrade to. And so we assume that when we go with the sheaf, which is a little bit more expensive, and we'll go for the same price class. Yeah, assume the Paladin is the Asgard. We would go and say standard edition. Yeah, this is Warbond. We still would need to spend 216 in order to get the Asgard. But because we melted the Asgard, we will have 350 store credit. And so we do not really spend 216 IRL cash. We use store credit for it. And afterwards, we still have some store credit left over when we upgrade from the sheaf to either the Paladin or the Asgard in particular, because only melting the Asgard will give us the store credit we need in order to not spending more money into it. So now we have the sheaf. We could upgrade right now to the Paladin and we would have the Paladin LTI. If we would go the same route for the Asgard, we need to wait until Anvil Day on IAE, and then we would need to melt the Asgard and do the same upgrade like we would have here in front of us from the other sheaf to the Asgard. So then it is both sheaf to Anvil. And then we would have the Asgard and the Paladin as LTI in our fleet. What else do we have in our fleet right now? 2 wolves. We assume the sheaves will be exchanged with Anvil ships, Paladin and Asgard. And then we still have 2 wolves that can be used for upgrading as an LTI token. So we also kind of love the wolf. Meanwhile, yeah, it is fast. It's a great shuttle. Claim time is pretty low. And even expedited is absolutely affordable. At the moment, we enjoyed to have 2 wolves. So we could claim both at the same time. Fly with one out, crash, come back, take the other one, claim the crashed one, go out, and when we come back, the second one is already there. And then we also have the Pulse, but the Pulse has 10 years, and for an online service, for a Pulse, 10 years is totally okay. We do not need to exchange that into an LTI token. That will give us $30, and probably we spend $30 for the Pulse. When we would pledge, 30. 6 months, it was even the... So why is that important? Why do we even talk about this? The Frost Camo is exactly the ship we want to have, or the paint we want to have for the Wolf. When we upgrade one Wolf, we still have one Wolf with the Camo. Here this is interesting. We have upgraded the Pulse 10 years to the MTC, but we didn't apply. What happens if we exchange this? We would exchange only the upgrade, not the Pulse. And the upgrade will give us 20. And we could get rid of this one, because if we don't have MTC, we can get rid of this one. Gives us 10. Quicksilver, we actually don't really need that. We thought we do more mining, but we don't. That will give us 16. The primer... Space streaming, we do space stream. That's why we pledge for stupid stuff like this. That will give us 3 back. store credit. If we would clean up, I mean, even this one last night, the Asgard last night, do we use that one? No, usually we have the white one because, as you can see, white. White is the paint that we are going for. And even the Atlas paint, carbon black, I bet there is a white Atlas paint, maybe this one. We have some stuff we could melt and generate store credit. Now we are in the Concierge, maybe we can go for Paul's paint. So yeah, we really could check through our Hangar, even that one, digital star map. Because the star map is accessible for everybody. We do not need that. But back in the day, we had no idea. And the marketing said, yeah, it would be good to have a map to orientate yourself. I thought, yeah, that would make sense. We can get rid of this, gives us 5. We can not get rid of these. We can get rid of these, 10. The Iron Side we will keep. The Valhalla, we got that one even through a third party gray market. But now we are Concierge. We probably could pledge it for ourselves. We could get rid of these. Last paint, black and white. These are the ships we are looking for, or the paints we are looking for. It is kind of black, so either one of these. But gotta say, the Valhalla actually looks better, but we don't use it. Yeah, you only can attach one paint to it. Constellation white, we want to keep. Dollar Wine on the Mole. Dollar Wine on the Mole would give us 11,380 if we also would get rid of the Valhalla paint. But what if we go into the store, the Keystone? But this one is also white without the blue. So we keep that, but that would give us 11. The Frostbite, we do not have a Cutlass anymore. Carbon black, 6. This one we're gonna keep for a while. Paints, Star Lifter. We could pledge the Kerberos for 12. We can get rid of it for 11. For the heavy transport, we want to keep the black one. Once we will have the Ironclad, we also will go there for the black one, and that's why the black one is cargo. The MTC stuff we could melt, 10, 20, we already saw that. Keystone, we could melt. Grey Cat could melt. We definitely have a potential of 400 store credit when we just have a look into all the stuff we do not need or do not need anymore. Seeing that we can generate almost $400 in store credit. Yeah, 500. If we would spend this one, then we would have spent 500 today in virtual spaceships, just to create a space dream in virtual realm and generate a gameplay we are looking for. So let's have a look. If we would go for this one, we would spend 216. But when we have 216 minus 50 store credit, at the end we would spend 166 an additional IRL cash out of our pocket. I think this would be it. We will probably tomorrow. We will go through this list and get rid of all the stuff we do not need in order to generate store credit. And as soon as we did that, we would upgrade the Paladin and make it an LTI. Then we need to do the same thing with the Asgard on Anvil days at IAE. And then we will have 2 Wolves with LTI, and definitely one of those will be used to upgrade to the Ironclad. And we do not really care about saving money. It's much more for converting LTIs. That's the only one thing what we actually care about.